Even though Demon Slayer's ending in the manga was rushed by Gotouge, it's not bad at all. But the ending was not short of criticism online. Some loved it and some just straight up wanted to change all of it. Let me present to you 7 alternate endings for how the story could have ended. You won't be able to guess how some of these turn out. It goes from reviving some of those fan favorites all the way to seeing the new Demon King Tanjiro in year 2024. Starting with the first one. What if Michikatsu never sold his soul to the Demon King? He declines Muzan, takes out his sword, and makes it out alive. There would be no Kokushibo, which means Doma would be Upper Moon 1. If Michikatsu never becomes a demon, Yoriichi wouldn't be exiled from the Demon Slayer Corps either. Together, they'd make the most epic moon and sun breathing duo in Demon Slayer history, having each other's backs in battle. Now there's one question. Would the relationship between Yoriichi and Kumado's family still happen if he's still out there hunting demons? If not, then that means Sumiyoshi wouldn't have been saved by Yoriichi and his bloodline ends right there and then. There'd be no Tanjiro and Nezuko. Okay, let's assume the Super Brothers does save them, and instead of having a friendship with just Yoriichi, this time it's with both the brothers. Fast track to the final saga, Muzan creates a new Kokushibo during the battle. Why? It's because over 400 years ago, Muzan encountered 2 legendary Demon Slayer brothers. One of them was a moon breather, the other was a sun breather. One rejected his offer to become a demon, while the other almost killed him. And now, after all this time, there are 2 young Demon Slayers who remind him of that time. Tanjiro is a sun breather, while Muichiro is very clearly Michikatsu's descendant. Perfect time for Muzan to make things right and finally get rid of his PTSD. He forcibly turns our little Muichiro into a demon on par with the top 3 Upper Moons. He lets him loose on the pillars. Now, just like how it was 4 centuries ago, Muzan's plan fails. Muichiro initially does fight the pillars, but after he hurts Tanjiro, someone who he considered his comrade, almost a brother, Muichiro remembers it all and goes out the same way as Akaza. At number 2, what if more pillars survive the final battle? This is reasonable if we go by the same hypothetical that Kokushibo does not exist. This would mean that Doma would be the number 1 threat after Muzan himself. This would mean that Muichiro and Genya wouldn't die fighting Kokushibo. Sanemi would also not be fighting him, but instead Doma, who is the Upper Moon 1 in this ending. Now, did you know Sanemi loved Kanai? Yes, the angriest guy in the story actually did love someone. It was Shinobu's older sister, the one who was killed by Doma. So if we double down on this, do you really think Sanemi would let Doma do the same to Kanai's sister? Do you think he'd let her die? Never. While Inosuke, Kanao, and Shinobu would definitely help, Sanemi will ultimately be the one who slays Doma. Though it's not like we're going to undermine Shinobu's revenge, not at all. She'll still let Doma voluntarily devour her. But right after just an arm or a leg, the others would show up and that's where it goes down. In the end, it'll be a combined effort of both the poison and the blades to kill Doma. And yes, while I'm afraid Shinobu will be crippled, you bet she's gonna feel satisfied after all. She gave up her limb to kill the demon she hated the most. Of course, this would also spiral into other scenarios, and more than just Shinobu may survive. If you wanted Obanai and Mitsuri to survive and start a family, now's your chance. Next, if you watched our Demon Slayer facts video, you may remember a certain fact in particular. Remember when Shinobu's death was announced in the story and Giyu was the only Hashira who was left completely stunned? It was because he was the only one who wasn't told about her kamikaze plan. Maybe it's a bit too cheesy, but it's not unreasonable to think that Giyu and Shinobu had a thing for each other. Even Gyome, the shipper pillar, realized their cute interactions as told in the fanbooks. Maybe they themselves had no idea, but there was certainly some romantic tension between them. Luckily, if Sanemi does help in fighting Doma and Shinobu survives, we can potentially see their love blossom, just as a reference to Shinobu's sister, the flower Hashira. Seriously though, imagine Giyu silently taking care of Shinobu, helping her to get up from bed, taking care of her prosthetic leg, all the while she continues to tease him. Nothing more stereotypical, beautiful than an anime romance between the shy boy and his bully. Moving on, in a parallel universe, what if after being turned into a demon, Tanjiro is unable to turn back into a human but also regains his sense of self? He'd become kind of like Yushiro, right? But he'd also be able to walk under the sun. This would make Tanjiro basically immortal and with no downsides whatsoever, except of course the curse of eternal life. Well, with nothing but time and strength by his side, Demon King Tanjiro can become the world's best diplomat. He can help the world avoid devastating global conflicts like the World Wars, and he can make sure nukes are never developed. He can help the marginalized communities around the world with his heart of gold. No one would dare cross him either. Just like how the threat of Titans was kept alive in Paradise Island, a Demon King can keep the entire world in check. You may even find him in the streets of Washington, D.C., just keeping a close eye on the CIA. Next, let's go with what if Tanjiro not only does not return to being human, he also loses his sense of self. He loses his memories and becomes the very thing he swore to destroy. Except he's worse because unlike Muzan, he is twice as dangerous as he cannot be killed by the sun. What then? If Tanjiro doesn't snap out of it, he's going to start killing his own friends. But just like how Akaza chooses to die as a human, Tanjiro can do that too. After his demon self hurts Nezuko, he'll come to his senses for a mere moment and use that to self-delete his existence from the face of the planet. Just like Toji from Jujutsu Kaisen when he realizes he was fighting his own son. A tragic but poetic end to the man who was chosen by the sun. But what if we take the hypotheticals even further? What if Muzan is able to hold off until Nezuko is at the scene in the final battle and then takes over her instead? Muzan would finally become invincible thanks to the fact that Nezuko had already conquered the sun. This is not going to be a good ending for our main characters. Muzan would actually win this time. He'll kill Tanjiro as well as everyone else. He will destroy the Demon Slayer core and absorb all the demons. In the end, he will be the only immortal demon in the world. In the second Demon Slayer fanbook, it is stated that Muzan has a few hobbies outside of murdering people. These include learning languages, trading stocks, and just doing stuff a typical billionaire does. He'll be more like one of those billionaire criminals who secretly control the world to make sure no one finds out about their crimes. But maybe after a couple more centuries, when humanity reaches technological singularity, he finally gets bored and kills himself? Now for the final scenario, we're going to spice it up with the original final arcs. Rather than fighting in different spaces of the Infinity Castle, what if our Demon Slayers fought Akaza, Doma, and Kokoshibo all in the same place? Things like Shinobu's sacrifice would be much more powerful, and you bet Kokoshibo is going to seethe and die inside when he sees a random nobody like Tanjiro using sun breathing on Akaza right in front of him. It's going to be an all-out war with everyone. Kokoshibo would try to attack Tanjiro, so maybe Akaza can use his final moments to go up against Kokoshibo and Doma. He can create an opening for Sanemi and Gyome to land that final blow. Something about getting betrayed by a fellow Upper Moon while not being able to do anything about the sun-breathing user does sound like another potential poetic end for Kokoshibo. But the real problem would obviously be Muzan. Why would he allow the Demon Slayers to be in such an advantaged position? Well, it's because he'll be up to something much more important. He'll be after Nezuko. Think about it, it's perfect. All the Demon Slayers and the Upper Moons are just trapped in the Infinity Castle, while he is outside searching for Nezuko. It'll be a race against time, and after the Demon Slayers make it out, it'll be the hunt for Muzan. It's going to be bloody. Muzan will also kill Rengoku's father while he's protecting Nezuko. Ultimately, he won't succeed, but if it goes like this, the action will be on steroids. You made it this far, so I know you really like Demon Slayer. Don't miss out on these 108 never-before-known facts from the fanbooks.